Many great bluegrass songs were recorded in the key of B. Bill Monroe, the father of bluegrass music, loved to play in the key of B and considered it part of his high, lonesome sound. Before Bill Monroe, suffice it to say that most folk mandolin players probably weren't hanging out in the key of B. Let's start off investigating the key of B by playing a famous instrumental, Rebecca, written by Herschel Sizemore. And as you see me play it, take note of some of the things that seem to make it a little bit more challenging than playing in your regular key of A, key of D, and G. So that's a pretty challenging song. This video is designed to give you some easier ways to get yourself into playing in the key of B. Here's what made that song pretty challenging. You only have the one open string in the B major scale. It's the open E string. And when you're faced with some chromatic notes, you often have to play them with the same finger. And then you find yourself using the pinky more than in other keys. Let's now take a look at some simpler ideas to get ourselves playing in the key of B. To find notes that are useful to play in the key of B, you can think of two areas of the neck. One of them outlines this simple three-finger B chord. The other area of the neck that is commonly used for playing in the key of B is kind of outlined by this B chop chord up here at the 6th fret. We'll concentrate our studies down here in the first position. Later I plan to do a sequel video where I will give you ideas for playing up the neck. Finding the three main chords, the 1-4-5 chord, in any key that you're studying is a good way to go about learning the key. So in this key of B, we'll have the chords B, E, and F sharp. So the B chord we're using is this three-finger B chord. You want to mute string 1. That can be used as a little chop chord right there. When you go to your E chord, you're going to play the two middle strings at the 2nd fret with your 2nd finger. First finger picks up the 4th string, 1st fret, and to include all 4 strings, we'll put our pinky on the 4th fret of the 1st string. Another way to play an E chord in this position is put your 1st finger on the double notes and put fingers 2 and 3 up here at fret 4. The F sharp chord can present a problem if you're having trouble getting your full chop chord. That's like the B chord moved over to strings 1, 2, and 3. Put your pinky on the 6th fret. But here's a simpler F sharp chord where you use fingers 1, 2, and 3 and mute the 1st string. So either of these chords can work. The next most useful chord you'll come across is the relative minor, in this case G sharp minor. It looks very close to this E chord that we played, but our 1st finger will pick up 2 different strings at the 1st fret, and our 2nd finger plays just the one note on the 2nd string, 2nd fret. That's where the term relative comes from. Just a quick mention that these 4-string chords, the E and the G sharp minor, can be played just by using the notes on strings 4, 3, and 2. Gives you enough of the sound of the chord, makes it easier to play. Here's a little tune that was recorded in the key of B by Lynn Morris. It's written by Don Kuzik. It Rains Everywhere I Go. And it uses all of these chords that we just went over in a relatively short period of time. So here, let's play that for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. As with any key, a good place to start learning notes to be able to play melodies would be to learn the B major scale. And it'll be in this position where this chord is, which means your third finger is going to play that fourth fret note, which again is different than playing in the key of D or A, where your second finger would be playing that note. But here it is going from root to root, this low B all the way up to this high B on the first string. And then notice on strings 3 and 2, the frets are the same. You use all 4 fingers. Finally, our one open string, the first string, that gives you a chance to shift to your first finger. Many folk songs, bluegrass songs, country songs use what's known as a pentatonic scale, a 5-note scale. So the 5 notes that you want to draw from that major scale are these. And then that would be the beginning of the second half. And again, you use your shift. So the lower portion of this scale outlines this chord. And I think of the higher portion as outlining this B chord. So when I play up in here, I actually do a little shift where my second finger comes up to the 4th fret, first finger at the 2nd fret. By the way, the improvisation that I opened the video with was nothing more than just jamming with the pentatonic scales from the key of B. Going back to the song It Rains Everywhere I Go, David McLaughlin was the mandolin player who played the solo on the recording, and he used nothing but this pentatonic scale. So let's take a look at that solo. We'll have slides that begin as 8th note slides in the early part of the solo, but when you wrap it up in that last F sharp measure, it's going to be 16th note slides. And the way I prefer to do that is keep my first finger anchored right here, let my third finger do the slide. David's solo actually ended right where the tag lick that you'll see comes in. The tag was actually played by Tom Adams on the banjo, but we put it in to keep things interesting. Kind of goes like this. Again, playing off the lower part of the scale. Here now is the entire solo. Begin with your second finger. Begins on beat 3. 1, 2. It's a good idea to know the double stops to the 3 main chords in any key that you're playing in. And you can find those double stops as pairs of notes within a chord. So here's your B chord. So this first and third finger form our first double stop. And I'll just go over these and give them to you. Your fingerings are going to vary depending on where you are in your solo. Here are the double stops for your 4 chord or E chord. If you remember this chord fingering, that would imply that we could have the 1st fret and 2nd fret here, which I did not put on my right out here. I started with this one, 2 and 4, and then the 4 and 6. So notice you kind of reuse some of the fingerings, just move to different pairs of strings as you go along. And instead of reaching up with the pinky, I do have the open first string. For our F sharp chord, we'll start with frets 3 and 4 that were out of this chord fingering. And then we can get frets 4 and 6. For the moment, I'm going to grab that with my pinky. Again, using fingerings that we used in the other chords. All the notes we've talked about so far come from either the B major scale, or the pentatonic scale for each of the chords, or the double stops for each of the chords. You also might want to get a little bit of a bluesy sound, and for that you need the flatted third and the flatted seventh. Well, the flatted third happens to be a D, so we can start adding an open string there. The flatted seventh is an A, so we get our open second string. So that's where you hear licks like this. Another lesser common blue note is the sharp 4. In this case we would call that note F before going to an F sharp. Get your little train whistle kind of sound going there. So I have an open A string and the F going to the F sharp. We'll now conclude this presentation of learning to play in the key of B by playing the song Train 45, which Ralph Stanley recorded in the key of G, but Byron Berline recorded in the key of B. The song is full of double stops and blue notes. We'll play it at a slow speed so you can see what's going on. Feel free to play along, dig in, have fun, and enjoy playing in the key of B. 1, 2, 3, 4.